So, Mike?
Yeah, what's going on, Matt?
Come on, sweet home, Chicago.
That wasn't as bad as I expected.
No, I didn't know how to go about it.
I think you lost more dignity for the Sweet Caroline.
Sweet. Hello, everybody. It's Matt.
And Mike.
And we are finishing up. I can't believe I'm about to say this phrase, so just give me a second to take a deep breath and, be in the moment. That was almost okay.
Sorry, that was yesterday's show.
We are wrapping up with not just the final team in the NFC North, but the 32nd team we've covered in our first season as 2M football.
And it just so happens to be, not planned out at all, our hometown team.
The Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
This could not have worked out anymore.
We couldn't have planned this any better. Because I randomly picked the AFC South to start with, and we're just like, oh, let's go round robin.
Then about halfway through, we decided, hey, what if we talk about the teams in order of record? And then, and now we're here. Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Now we're still at the bottom.
The Bears are at the bottom of the NFC North.
I just want everybody to strap in, grab some popcorn maybe, because I have a feeling we're going to be here a little bit.
This could be a long one. We got a lot to talk about here.
Great. My job just gets easier. 45 fucking minutes.
32 episodes in, we still don't have an editor. It's Matt.
It's so long.
All right, well, let me... You can just nap there for a while, and I'll do a little bit of offense stuff.
It's going to be our staple in shows from this point.
Yeah.
Things
might get a little loopy. So the Bears were 3-13, last place in the NFC North. And it was a bad season. There's no
sugarcoating that. Oh, speaking of sugar,
do you want me to give you some more sugar, Matt?
I could use it.
Was it not enough last time?
Just so you guys know, we've had our coffee sitting here since we started recording at the beginning of the day today, and they're
bad today.
It was terrible.
They failed us.
So that's why we're loopy. We haven't had caffeine yet, which is ironic.
That's also why Matt needs a nap. So one of the many issues the Bears had this year was at quarterback.
Did they have one?
They had more. They had three picks. So Jay Cutler, everyone knows him. He's been the biggest name here in Chicago for a few years. Actually, it's been longer than it seems. It's been like 6 years, I think. And the fan base and the team has become increasingly dissatisfied with him, and he's finally gone. Jay Cutler's gone, but first it was because of injury. So that led to Brian Hoyer coming in for a while. He played a few games, looked pretty good, but then he went down too. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll get more into that when we cover.
And then the third guy was Matt Barkley. He played quarterback and finished out the season and looked up and down, but he was a free agent and the team let him go too.
And ironically, both of them wound up in San Francisco, which I didn't know when they became hot commodities.
Yeah, I don't know. But so they had that issue, and they have a lot of young players. They have a lot of guys on this defense and offense.
It's just a young team
that you don't know about, that you haven't heard of because they weren't high draft picks. I'm not sure where they found these guys, but they don't look half bad.
Under a mattress. Lower whacker. Oh, that's a Chicago reference.
Uh-huh. So we'll just jump right into how the offense looked last year, and it was pretty bad.
And I've put half your sugar container in this coffee, and I got to tell you, Mike.
Is it better now?
It's still terrible.
Oh, no. Then I'm going to want that sugar back. Just kidding. Okay. So the Bears averaged 17.4 points per game last year, which was 28th in the league. They put up 357 yards per game, which was 15th. 248 of those were passing yards, which was 14th. And 108 were rushing yards, which was 17th in the league.
So the numbers don't make them sound as bad as what they really look.
They're not that bad. Yeah, based on the yards alone, but the points are, disproportionately bad. So none of last year's starters are on the roster anymore.
Thank God.
They cut Cutler, and Hoyer and Barkley were free agents. And as Matt mentioned, they both signed with San Francisco, which is kind of funny. So that left, the only guy on the roster was I shouldn't have started this sentence without knowing his name. Connor Cook or something. Some rookie they drafted.
Connor Cook was the backup, too.
Okay, well.
To Derek Carr.
All right, well, you want to help me out then or no?
No. I'm sitting here. I'm napping, remember?
That's right. How's that coffee doing? Is it
It's
sweet
disgusting.
Adding sugar has only made it worse somehow?
Yeah, I figured it might be a little sweet, but
Connor
still.
Shaw. Sorry. Connor Shaw is who I was thinking of. Not Connor Cook. Anyway. So they went out in free agency and they signed Mike Glennon.
I'm actually excited. For the first time since... Let me put it to perspective for those of you who don't understand our dilemma here in Chicago. The last quarterback that was productive, and this is productive in the loosest sense of the term, was Rex Grossman back in 2006.
And he was awful.
And he was terrible. he was
so
the last
bad.
Chicago quarterback since Mike Ditka's era left, since the 85 Bears to make it to the Super Bowl. What does that tell you?
That is true. So they're hoping they may have found their next... Well, I'm not even going to say their next Rex Grossman because he was garbage. They're hoping they've found
someone better than Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and that guy is Mike Glennon. He was formerly of the Buccaneers. He's 27 years old, and back in 2013, the Bucs drafted him in the 3rd round.
Yo ho ho.
So in his rookie year, he started as the backup. Josh Freeman, it's another name that you don't hear nowadays, was the starter. And the team started 0-3 that year. They benched Freeman and gave Glennon the start, and he started the rest of the season. Went 4-9 as a starter, completing 59% of his passes for 2,600 yards, very low 6.3 average per attempt, but 19 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions. Not an awful rookie season. Then in his second year, Lovie Smith became the head coach. This all feels like ancient history.
Yeah.
This was only 3 years ago. His second season, Lovie Smith came in and he brought Josh McCown with him to be the starter.
Which looked promising, to be honest.
Yeah, he had looked good in Chicago.
But then, like Chicago has a history of, they let all their good players go.
It's so funny that we're talking about Lovie Smith, Josh McCown as Buccaneers in the Bears show. You know what I mean? But anyway, so Lovie Smith came, brought McCown, so Glennon got put on the bench again. But McCown got injured, so Glennon ended up appearing in 6 games with 5 starts. This year, he completed 57% of his passes for 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And he spent the next 2 seasons on the bench behind number 1 draft pick Jameis Winston.
Oh, I know that guy.
So, yeah, he's pretty good. So it made sense from that point that Glennon wasn't going to start. And now, to look at some game tape of him, had to go back to the 2014 season.
We going all the way back.
This was his second year. His first game taking over for injured Josh McCown. This was week 4, 2014, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And weirdly enough, as I watched this game, I remembered it. And it didn't seem like that long ago. But apparently it was 3 years. So in this game, one of the issues in those numbers is the completion percentage. It's been under 60% both of the seasons he's had playing time. And in this game, too, it was 50% only. 21 out of 42 passes for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So before I get into what I saw, he played part of this game without Mike Evans, who exited in the 3rd quarter with an injury, and an amazing amount of drop passes by his receivers, which was sad to see. And so just with that caveat, to give those numbers, he was a little bit better than they indicate.
The fuck did you pull that word out of?
I don't know, break out the dictionary again. All right, so I took it. I have a ton of notes here, so I'm just going to look. I did summarize them this time. And let me just say,
It still looks like the freaking Star Wars movie script.
I know, look at that.
Hold on, I gotta put my glasses on. Oh, fuck.
So, yeah.
I'll be back, guys.
Make sure you beep that out, because I think that was picked up. Okay. So he looked he looked accurate. That's one thing I noticed. His completion percentage doesn't reflect like how accurate of a thrower he is. He had to deal with 5 drops by his receiver in that game. So here's what I did. I took out the drops from his stats. He had 1 spike to stop the clock, and the 1 interception he did throw, he was throwing a go route to Mike Evans, who stopped halfway through because this was the play he got injured on. Mike Evans stopped running halfway through. Matt just left. I'm going to have to fly solo for a little bit. So I'm not going to put the interception on him either because it only happened because Mike Evans stopped running his route and the safety happened to be sitting right up there at the top. So that got picked off. So taking out the drops, that play, and the spike, his completion percentage improves to a much more respectable 67%.
I went to the frickin' store this time and you're still talking.
Yeah, I know. I got so nervous when you left. I slowed down, which is kind of weird. Anyway, so another thing I always look at with quarterbacks is the third down passing. And he converted 5 out of 10 third downs and was 0 out of 1 on fourth downs.
I think that's my favorite mark when you get to that point.
Which one? Oh, yeah. So one thing I did see that was a little concerning is he didn't seem to have much command of the offense. And what I saw is 3 delay of game penalties.
Oh, that's good.
2 were back-to-back.
Oh, that's exactly.
Amazingly. So.
Well, you could argue, though, that because he's never been an official starter, you're basically learning on the fly when you're a backup and you get called in for any reason. Right. I mean, you're there for basic drills, but you don't get any starting rotational stuff. So when you're called in, it's like what we've said before is you always want to be the one called, but I think you always get shocked when your number comes up. You're like, wait, what?
And quarterbacks and their centers have a very intimate relationship. And I don't just mean that because the quarterback's sticking his hands all up in his business.
Let's keep this PG.
But it's all about the quarterback, the cadence, the snap count.
Because it's drilled into their heads.
It's not nearly as simple as it looks. Like, oh, just snap the ball. Like, everyone has to be on the same page. Most importantly, the quarterback and the center.
Because if you fumble the exchange right there, that could be an easy turnover for the defense because the linemen are coming through the offensive line.
Exactly. And so the delay of games were a problem. The other thing I saw was some really almost comical miscommunications with the running back, which was Doug Martin. So one of them, he went to fake a handoff. He turns to his left to fake it. Doug Martin was running past him on the right side. So he just held on the ball for nobody and then pulled it back and threw. Probably the least convincing play action ever.
I don't know. I think I'm going to fall for it. Sounds like something we did back in high school.
I know. So that was funny. And there was another play where he took the snap. The running back was behind him. It was a pass play. So the running back's coming up the pass block. But Glennon didn't drop back far enough. And they sort of just ran into each other. Him and the running back trying to come up and block for him. And he did end up completing a pass, actually, after that, which was impressive.
Well, and it's like, it's embarrassing when it happens, but it's not surprising that it's like when two defenders slam into each other in the middle of the field. It's like you're so focused on what you're supposed to be doing, you're not paying attention to really, in a way, what's going on around you. Like if the quarterback's dropping back, he's focused on staying forward and planting his feet and doesn't realize that the running back isn't apparently watching where he's running. I'm putting that on the running back, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true, because the running back's behind him. He can see everything.
The quarterback doesn't know what's behind him.
Yeah,
he knows you're there, but he's going to be like, oh, he's going to get out of the way. It's not like a lineman that gets pushed back into the quarterback.
Right. It was just kind of funny. So, yeah, he was accurate on short to intermediate routes, and he has a strong arm, but his accuracy was kind of a mixed bag on deep routes. He had some that were just perfect, and some where he overthrew them or it was too far out of bounds. There was no way to catch it. So that was kind of hit or miss. I saw a few examples of him moving well in the pocket where pressure comes around the back from one side and he's able to step up and keep his eyes downfield. A couple times, though, he didn't do that. He pulled a Cutler, as I like to call it. Something Bears fans are going to be really tired of seeing is that he takes a snap, pressure's coming, he keeps running backwards, doesn't throw the ball,
keeps moving back,
and he takes a sack.
Runs into his own end zone, out the back, through the wall, gets in his car and goes home.
Takes it to the house again.
His house. Has a beer and then comes back for the next snap.
That's where all the delay of games came from. Okay.
This is serious business, Mike.
And the other thing to keep in mind is this is all 2 years ago. So in theory, he's continued to learn and develop. And I am, like you said, though, I'm excited about it too. I don't think it's a bad move by the Bears. And he's going to be a very interesting quarterback to watch in 2017.
Anything's more interesting than freaking Cutler.
Yeah, Cutler, you know exactly what you're going to get, and it's not good.
No, with Cutler, it was a roll of the dice. It's like, is he going to care this week? Because when he was good, he was good. The problem is his good was the most inconsistent thing about him.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Mike Glennon. Good move. I'm excited to see what he can do.
That was 15 minutes on quarterback.
And they also signed Mark Sanchez to a...
That's my favorite mark on all of your notes.
Yeah. So he probably won't see the field at all, but who knows?
But for Dak Prescott said that Sanchez was a great coach for him while he was on the Dallas sideline. So maybe there's something else other than just being a backup that Fox was looking for here.
That makes sense. Yeah, so that's the quarterback situation. Complete turnover from all the guys they had last year.
If Brian Hoyer didn't get hurt, I still stand by my statement he would have started the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
He was the best quarterback we had.
And more consistent than Cutler.
Until he miraculously healed.
As we talked about, I think it must have been in the San Francisco show, Hoyer didn't throw an interception in the 6 games he played, which I don't know if Cutler's ever gone 6 games without throwing.
Has he ever gone 6 minutes?
We should look into that. Maybe not. So whoever they're going to, I don't know.
Mike can't talk.
Yeah.
Just going to read his notes.
We've had some long shows today. Yeah, man.
Just going to read.
So Jordan Howard.
Starting
running back.
It's all you
were you joking? Okay. All right,
I can't read my own notes.
Well, this is typed. It's easier. It's much easier to read than your chicken scratch.
You're one to talk.
You've never seen me write. Oh, that's right. Never mind. I shouldn't have said that. That's getting the proof. Okay. Jordan Howard was the Bears' 5th-round pick last year. I really tried on those two. I wrote some notes for Matt to copy onto the computer, and it was bad. Howard became the starter in Week 4 after the beginning of the year starter Jeremy Langford had a high ankle sprain. And then Howard looked so good he started every game the rest of the season. He carried 250 times for 1,300 yards with a 5.2 average and 6 touchdowns. And he was effective out of the backfield, too, with almost 300 receiving yards and another touchdown. Howard looked great, and he's going to be the starter again next year. So Jeremy Langford, who he's going to be the backup now, he was the starter at the beginning of last year, but had just a 3.7 average and 4 touchdowns before injuring the ankle. And he became the backup after that. He'd never had more than 10 carries in a game. Also, there is Kadeem Carey. That's all I have to say about him. At wide receiver, the biggest thing that happened here is they lost Alshon Jeffrey via free agency. Eagles grabbed him. So the next guy...
The New England Eagles?
I didn't say that, did I? This time. So the next guy, the guy they've been hoping would step up for the last 2 years, is Kevin White. He's played in a total of 4 games in his first 2 NFL seasons after being drafted number 7 overall in 2015.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, a stress fracture in his shin wiped out his entire rookie season.
Ow.
Yeah, right. And then he played in the first 4 games last year before fracturing his fibula on the same leg that he injured his rookie year and went to IR.
Oh, that actually concerns me.
It is concerning. In those 4 games still, he only had 19 catches, 187 yards, no touchdowns with a 9.8 average per catch.
I just give him a steel leg, he'll be fine.
He was mainly utilized on screens and short routes. His longest catch was just 32 yards in those 4 games. And so we still haven't seen much from him, obviously only playing 4 games. But so it's too soon to call him a bust, I guess, but 2 injuries to the same leg in consecutive years to start his career is very concerning.
Especially because the fracture led to a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's right. So I don't know what we can expect from him next year. Obviously, he's going to come back and try, see if he can stay healthy. But even his limited time on the field hasn't been impressive. So I don't think they can necessarily count on him. And maybe they're not, because they've made some moves in free agency to bring in other guys. And the first one is Kendall Wright. And he was signed from the Titans to a 1-year, $2 million deal. And Wright had a lot of success early in his career. And let's see, in his second season, he caught 94 balls for over 1,000 yards, but it's all been kind of downhill from there. He's been plagued by injuries the last few seasons, missing 13 games over the past 3 years. But maybe all he needs is a change of scenery, and a 1-year deal is just a chance to prove what he has left, potentially. The other guy they signed is Marcus Wheaton.
Hey, I know that guy.
This one kind of had me scratching my head a little bit. And they gave him a 2-year, $11 million deal.
As long as he can catch the ball, he'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Wheaton, in 4 years, he failed to make an impact with his original team, the Steelers. He never topped 750 receiving yards in his 4 seasons. Only 2 of those were 16 games. And even though he was lining up across from Antonio Brown, one of the best in the game, last year he missed, as Matt knows, he missed 13 games with a nagging shoulder injury.
Yeah, it was a great time when I picked him for my free agency pick, and I go to do the research. It's like, oh, he played 4 games. Good job.
So I don't think this was a good signing. I don't expect him to do much.
Well, I did say the Steelers should get rid of him, and they did. I did not expect to see him over here.
Right.
Especially if he can catch the ball, he'll be great, but he's got to actually catch the ball.
Yeah. We'll see what they do with him. The guy I'm really excited about...
Throw him through the goalpost.
The guy I'm really excited about in this wide receiver core is Cameron Meredith. The Bears signed him as an undrafted free agent in 2015, and he didn't see the field much his rookie year, but he got his first start last year in Week 5 against the Colts, and he caught 9 passes, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Second start the very next week, he caught 11 balls for 113 yards, and those were 2 of his best 4 games of the year. So last year he played in 14 games with 10 starts, caught 66 passes, 890 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And I'm more excited about him than White or any of the free agents they brought in. Meredith has good size at 6'3", 200 pounds. He lines up all over the field. They use him for a lot of wide receiver screens, where he actually showed good vision and the ability to break tackles and create that yak that we like so much. And he has strong hands too. He does a really good job of high pointing the football and making catches away from his body.
Thank you for demonstrating.
Yeah, away, not in his body, away from his body.
Wait. Away?
Away. No, you got it wrong. This is one of those times I wish we did have a camera because that was kind of funny. So I'm hoping he can improve on his 2016 campaign, and I really think he can step up to the number 1 wide receiver role.
There's one person I'm even more excited for.
Is it Eddie Royal?
I actually, no, I was not.
Good, because I think they should cut him. If they don't, it'll cost them $5 million to ride the bench. This is a little harsh. I really don't like Eddie Royal. He's only played in 18 games in his 2 years with the team, and he has combined in his 2 years, he has 70 catches, 600 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think the team is expected to cut him too, and I fully support that. Mm-hmm. At tight end, they got Zach Miller.
There he is.
He was having a career year in 2016 before breaking his foot in Week 10.
Ow.
Yeah, it sounds painful. And he got stepped on. That was how he broke his foot.
I fractured my foot, and that wasn't fun.
I bet breaking it is even less fun. Thank you. I was waiting for that. He caught 47 passes for.
He had a career year with 14 passes. It's like, whoa, hang out there. This might be an outlier.
47 catches, 486 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And he's 32 years old, but he really looked like the complete package. Yeah, good as a blocker. Yeah, I think I know why you say that, and I'll get to that in just a second. Unfortunately, he's never played in a full season and has suffered multiple foot injuries. So if you look at his stats, there's like 3 years that are just missing.
Just not existent.
But I dug around a little bit. So here's what happened. 2012 he spent on injured. So he was with the Jaguars until 2011. They were the ones who originally drafted him. 2012 he spent on injured reserve. Then they cut him. He was a free agent for most of 2013. Then the Bears signed him in December of 2013. Then he spent 2014 on IR. And then he started getting a little more playing time towards the end of 2015. He appeared in 15 games that year, actually, but in 5 of them he didn't have a catch. And then finally last year, he was part of their plan on offense from the start, and that led to his most productive season yet. And I think we're all expecting more of the same from him as last year, hopefully minus the injuries. I'm glad you're being so agreeable. They also signed Deion Sims just for depth. He's a decent receiving tight end, but not a great blocker.
And now, 4 weeks later, we've gotten to the offensive line.
They have a really great interior offensive line, but both tackles need help. These guys are Charles Leno and Bobby Massey. Combined, those 2 guys allowed 73 QB pressures and committed 14 penalties. The interior is great, though. Josh Sitton, we already mentioned, they got from Green Bay.
Would help if he stood.
Cody Whitehair is the center. He apparently he was playing center for the first time this year. He played tackle in college, but he looked really good at center. And then we all know Kyle Long. He's a fan favorite. He's one of the league's best right guards.
Mike, your notes say played overtime in college.
I don't know if he played overtime or not. So both these guards need addressing. And that's it.
Are you sure?
That's it.
That was a frickin' journey.
I know. I'm sorry. I get excited. Your turn, Matt. You have negative 5 minutes.
Yeah, defense was there. The Chicago defense. This defense versus Green Bay's defense is an example of coordinators working with what they can. Because Chicago's defense was riddled by just as many injuries, if not more, than the Green Bay defense. And Green Bay compensated while Chicago kind of just rode it out. And to a terrible 3-13 record is what they did. They allowed 25 points per game, which was 24th, 347 yards, which was 15th, 225 passing yards, which was 7th, and 122 rushing yards, which was 27th. So they ranged from top 10 to... The biggest problem, and this is how I don't know how to address this defense, because I looked up what we should have been doing this whole time. They only have $10 million in cap space. So they can't make a lot of big adjustments. Anything they do is going to have to be short term.
That could be because they've already made a bunch of signings, though.
Could be.
It might not be. It's either way is possible.
Anywho, I hate you so much.
Hey, like I said, I just want to get the highest quality product out there.
It's come from the guy who couldn't talk last episode.
Yeah, I need a break. My cheeks are tired.
So you just talk for
my
20. You talk for 25 minutes.
That's accurate.
So they have a little cap space. It seems like from everything that I've read, their goal this year on the defensive end is to draft and develop. I've heard a lot of rumor from John Fox and the Bears saying that they were going to draft a lot of defensive players. Basically because this team as a whole is young. And I contribute the defense to that as well. It's a young defense that sometimes was on point in what they were doing and other times looked like they might as well not have taken the field because they didn't do anything. Is it Acho? Bless you. Acho wants an Acho. Was my highlighted player. Number 49. Oh, yeah. 27 tackles, a sack, a pass deflection, a forced fumble. So not a terrible resume, but he's not the productive player that I kind of expected out of him. Mm-hmm. Are you looking up his name? Does he show a picture with nachos?
That's what I was trying to find out, but I don't see one.
I think this kid has a great potential. I really think he can be a good player because he can. When he's on point, he makes an impact. But it's being on point consistently. Mm-hmm. He is currently 28, though, so he's starting to get towards the top of the hill where they're going to give him a cane and a lightsaber.
A lightsaber? Oh. Okay.
See what I did there? Mm. But I think he's got to have something left in the tank. And this, John Fox is starting to realize, unlike most Bears head coaches, continuity is key. Mm-hmm. And I really think they should sign him to a short-term, 2-year deal. Give us something, kid. Come on, you can do it. I really think this guy, he's got so much potential. Mm-hmm. But it just seems like every time somebody starts to make progress, the Bears are known for just like, oh, there's the door. Let's go down the list, shall we?
Sure, yeah, let's.
But I was only kidding.
Oh.
Greg Olson, Martellus Bennett, Matt Forte,
Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall.
So like half of all the good players on this team. And yet they kept Cutler all this time.
Right. Go figure.
I can never figure out Chicago. But I think this defense just needs to lick its wounds and heal up. Because the beginning of the year, they looked pretty good. And then once the injuries started to pile up, like Green Bay, Chicago every week seemed to have somebody out or somebody go out halfway through the game.
Yeah, they did.
And as a defensive coach, like, what do? You're like, oh, hell, not another guy. Like, all right, bring up your third string and plug him here and move this guy from safety to corner and let's see if this works. Shit, that didn't work. Like, it's literally plug and play when you're that far down the depth chart. Mm-hmm. But I like the linebacking core. I think they have great potential. You could see that being 7th against the pass, but this run is where they struggle. And points. Why do you look like you're about to undermine everything I just said?
Well, The linebackers don't help that much against the pass. That has more to do with corners and safeties.
But pass rush is crucial for making a quarterback mistake. And a linebacker core contributes a lot to that.
Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Well, it's disruption, because if you have big guys in the middle of the field, that means...
Matt's getting pissed off.
Well, because I do think linebacking is such a contributive part to the pass, because if they don't have a pass rush, which you can't always rely on your linemen to do that, they should be doing it, but I think your down linemen are more run stoppers than they are passes, because your linebackers are the guys that can jump up, deflect the ball. I mean, your corners are the ones that are going to make the interceptions and make those kinds of turnovers, but how many times do you see linemen get in the way and blocking a field of vision, or especially if they can drop into coverage and cover short in routes? Like, they play a huge part. Go on.
Oh, nothing.
Oh.
I just want to talk about the free agent signings when you're done.
Oh, by all means.
All
We're
right.
already after 30 minutes. It's going to be a fucking 4-hour, editing
You're a
episode.
little loose with the language. You're making more work for yourself.
Who cares? If we go out now, we're going out in a blaze of glory.
So, they had the 7th best pass defense, right?
Yes.
Is that okay. But they made a lot of moves to address their secondary, which is interesting. They signed a pair of cornerbacks, Prince Amukamara and Marcus Cooper, both of which I think are good players. Cooper, they gave a 3-year, $16 million deal to. Amukamara is just 1 year, $7 million. And they also grabbed a strong safety, Quentin Demps, from the Texans to a 3-year, $13.5 million deal.
I don't get why they give him 3 years. He's already 31, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. If anything, I would address this front line.
Right, because that seems to be where they
Where
struggled
the pass or with the rush.
Right.
I just think that the reason they gave up so much in terms of points and yards was just due to the fact that they were getting injuries in their secondary. And by the time you're down to your third string, you don't expect miracles at that point. You just want them to go out there and do something.
Yeah, I really think the secondary is going to be a strength again next year, because Kyle Fuller didn't play. I'm not sure if he played at all last year. He definitely missed most of the season. And
I could have swore I saw him on the field, but it could have been just a flash and I thought I was seeing things. You know, it's all the drugs.
Whoa, this is a new revelation about Matt. But anyway, so they're going to have Fuller coming back. They've got all these guys that they signed that I just mentioned, and including Demps. And they've got Adrian Amos. He's one of the few guys coming back at free safety. And so I believe this secondary is going to be strong. Yeah, Kyle Fuller, he did not play any games last year. But in his first 2 seasons, he looked really good, deflecting 10 and 9 passes respectively with 4 and 2 interceptions. So with him and Tracy Porter looked good. That's another older guy who's looking really good. So between these, they have 4 solid corners, a pair of good safeties. Strangely, the only thing they've done to address the linebacking core is re-signing Christian Jones, the inside linebacker, which it looks like they're going to need more help than that if they want to have a stronger run defense next year.
I just think it's that front line that needs to be solid, because I didn't see a lot. The pass rush came from the linebackers on this team. That front line, I saw a couple of defensive tackles getting pushed around by an offensive lines. And they seem to face, the offenses they faced didn't seem to have the world's best lines. So this should have been easier. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm seeing things differently. But I really thought the front line is where they needed to make an improvement, not their secondary.
Yeah.
And they did the exact opposite. It's the Bears. What did I expect? Hey, that Greg Olsen guy, they should re-sign him. Oh, wait, he's going to Carolina and has 3 stellar years? Thank you, Mike Martz.
Yeah, all right. Is that it? Is that it? After too long didn't watch. Oh, man. This got weird. Okay, so the Bears, our final team in our NFL
40 minutes too long didn't watch it again.
They were 3-13 last year, last place in the NFC North. And they had a lot of quarterback issues, which they've addressed by releasing everybody. That was the quarterback last year. Cutler's gone, Hoyer's gone, Barkley's gone. But they went out and got Mike Glennon from Tampa Bay.
Talk about cleaning house.
Right. And he looks pretty good. He hasn't started in a couple years because after his first 2 years there was when they drafted Jameis Winston. The Buccaneers did. So then Glennon rode the bench for a couple years. Woo! But now he's coming to Chicago where he's going to be the starter. And he has a kind of a mixed bag as a supporting cast. Jordan Howard is great at running back. At receiver, though, they let Alshon Jeffrey go to free agency. And that leaves Kevin White penciled in as the number 1 receiver, but he's only played 4 games in 2 years due to injuries. And both for the same leg, which is concerning. We'll see if he can come back from that or not. They signed Kendall Wright and Marcus Wheaton, but they got... Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say they have your favorite player in Eddie Royal.
Yeah, right. Eddie Royal's there too for now. I really believe he won't be there by the time the season starts. But my favorite guy here is Cameron Meredith. I won't go into the whole thing on him again, but
oh jeez, please don't.
But he looks good. He looks really good, even though he was an undrafted free agent signing. I really think he has a chance to be the number 1 receiver by the end of the year. Tight end Zach Miller is another great option in the passing game. But as far as the offensive line, they need to address both their tackle positions because both of those guys are trouble. See, I did it in less than
40 minutes.
Just in 40 minutes.
On the defensive end, oh wait, are you done?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. I didn't mean to. I can totally jump the gun.
Go for it. It's all you.
On the defensive end, it was just another case of the injuries prevented them from really doing anything. They were so riddled with injuries that they were just plugging in, kind of hoping something would happen. Which Green Bay had the same problem. You see the difference on how teams are able to handle it. Chicago didn't do as well, given a 3-13 record. I'm surprised that they made so many splashes on their secondary because I already thought it was good, but they really need to address this defensive front line, whatever it takes, because 27th against the run will not get it done. I think as long as they heal up and come back, I think they're going to start off good. It's just you hope that they don't get riddled with injuries because they started off great. I think they would have definitely been more of a middle-of-the-pack defense, not this spread out. But the injuries just meant points were being given up, and it still amazed me that they were still 7th against the pass, even with all those injuries. The rumor is they have a plan to do a lot of draft and development, even though a lot of this team is young. So I'm not sure what to make of that, other than we'll have to watch and see what happens.
And just to tease it a little bit, we're going to get into some draft coverage. And the Bears have a very high draft pick.
Dun, dun, dun.
Jonathan Allen, potentially. Address that D-line. Maybe that's the plan. Secondary and free agency. Address the front 7 through the draft.
I like the way you think.
We'll find out if it's the way the Bears are thinking, too. But I think that is it.
All right, and Mike, as our final closure, I want you to end this.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. It's only happened like 4 other times.
It has. Yeah, that means I'm out of practice, and this is going to be a bad note to end on.
Thank you.
But yeah, like Matt said, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening, coming with us on this such a long journey it's been.
It feels like it's been freaking 6 years.
It does. But if it had been 6 years, things would have changed so much that everything would be completely worthless that we talked about.
I feel like half of what we did is at this point.
Yeah, well, I think we should go back and tally up our free agency picks before free agency actually started and see how many we got right as far as re-signings or not. Yeah, Matt did pretty well on that. But anyway, thanks for joining us for this journey. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. It's been fun for the most part.
It's been long.
It's been long. Some
our weeks are between working
and then working on this. But it's been fun and rewarding. What else do we usually say?
Do you not pay attention when I do the closing credits?
I pretty much peace out until I hear you say the word Twitter, and I'm like, _football. But
stay tuned because we're going to get started with our draft stuff. We have a couple ideas.
We're less than a month.
Yeah, we're going to be bouncing some ideas off you guys. The next few weeks are going to be very light video-wise because we have some stuff we're working on. We're preparing for an awesome draft day special I think we're going to do.
Yep.
So just be prepared for some lull in the amount of videos that come out over the next couple of weeks as we're preparing for that. But it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have. We've gone through our phases of, we got to do this team, to we're going to get to do this team.
Yep.
But I got to say, this is much more fun than I thought when we first Mike's brought up this idea for over a year now. Like, oh, we should do like a podcast about this.
Uh-huh.
And here we are, we did it.
Here we are, yeah.
And I can't believe we are officially ending on all 32 teams.
Yes.
We have done the entire League of National
Every
Football.
single team, yep.
So your support means everything to us because the only reason we put these up is so that you guys can enjoy it. So thank you for everything and stay tuned because it's just getting started.
That's the thing.
That's so bizarre to think. It's like we've wrapped up the league and now for 2017. So thank you all and we will see you soon.
Yep, bye.